Hello my 3D printer peeps, I'm just here with you to check in on the new Ender 3 version 3 SE. This printer was a bit of a surprise to me. I didn't see this coming, but I should have, and I was very hopeful that Creality was working on something after the S1. I am very pleased to see Creality go back to the Ender 3 and revise it once again for the version 3. The Ender 3 Pro, the Ender 3 version 2, the Ender 3 Max. These are tried and true machines beloved by 3D printers worldwide. Generations of 3D printer users had an assortment of this lineup as their first printers and continue to use them for their projects to this day. So it just makes sense that Creality continues to reiterate on its most popular line. And the version 3 brings a lot of new things to the table. Let's go over a couple of them. First, right off the bat, the knob screen. The touchscreen on the S1 Pro was not a popular thing. It featured special firmware, was difficult to use, and was hard for people to create third-party firmware on, leaving many people to switch their S1 Pros to the standard S1 knob screen. I'm very pleased to see them go with the knob screen for the version 3. Then we have the direct drive extruder. Really cool to have direct drive come standard on the version 3, and they do talk about it being a market-proven, reliable extruder, which tells me this is an iteration of the Sprite extruder. Those of you who have worked with the Sprite extruder know it was a huge step forward for Creality, and it's very nice to see that extruder make another appearance on the Ender 3 version 3. Having a direct drive extruder means you no longer have to worry about a two-part system with a hot end and an extruder, or a Bowden tube in between the two. All of that is removed for one clean direct drive system. That means you can also work with things such as flexible TPU filaments, and that is a really cool thing at this price point. Poking around their website, you're going to see something else that's a really big deal. The number one thing that 3D printer users struggle with the most, the one thing I help people with the most, is their Z offset. It's just one thing that many people just can't seem to comprehend how to get right. It's really great with things such as the P1P, the X1C, the K1, the K1 Max, and now the Ender 3 version 3 to see things such as setting your Z offset manually become a thing of the past. Speaking of a thing of the past, this machine also no longer has springs and knobs to manually tram your bed. It will come trammed for you, and all you will have to do is run an auto bed leveling mesh using your CR Touch to map out the bed and be ready to print. These are huge improvements that are going to improve the user experience, especially for brand new 3D printer users. Very exciting to see these kind of features coming to a printer at this price point. Looking closer at the machine, you will see it has two Z screws, but only one stepper motor. These two lead screws are synced via a timing belt that goes from screw to screw along the top of the machine to ensure that the two screws stay in sync together. Having these two screws is super helpful in avoiding lag or sag on either sides of this axis to ensure it stays level and moves up and down together. Looking closer at the machine shows a couple of other interesting features. For example, the plug and the power are on the side rather than the back. It is now using USB-C rather than micro USB. This is super important as USB-C has a much better connection than micro USB. Scrolling down at the optional accessories, you can add a magnetic PEI bed, which is great, and it does look like this printer may be using the high flow all metal hot end, as these appear to be spider nozzles. The filament runout sensor is optional rather than included. This is highly unusual for Creality, but I do wonder if it has something to do with the fact that many people choose not to use the runout sensor, me included. By not including the runout sensor, they're saving costs in the material and time at the manufacturer to install them. I have no problem with the filament runout sensor being optional. You will notice they are promoting hyperfilament. This is their high-speed filament designed for printers such as the K1, the X1C, and the P1P. This is an excellent filament. It prints really well, especially at very high speeds, and I highly recommend working with this filament. Speaking of high speeds, this is the most impressive part of this printer. Creality is advertising max speeds of 250. This is an impressive speed for a little bed slinger like this. Even if you bring it down to 200 or 175, those are impressive speeds for a bed slinger like this. Seeing speeds like this on a low-cost bed slinger is super exciting, as it does appear to be signaling the end of the era where 3D printing is synonymous with slow. Currently, Creality has this thing priced at $199, which is absolutely bonkers, as the Ender 3 Pro, the Ender 3 version 2, the Ender 3 S1, the Ender 3 Max all came out well above this price point, getting auto Z offset, auto leveling, no more knobs, 200+ millimeter printing, CR touch, bright extruder, dual Z, USB-C, all of these modern updates and features at $199 is really impressive. I don't know how Creality is doing this. They are being extremely aggressive, and I expect the Ender 3 version 3 to be an absolute barn burner for them. That's going to put the market in the low-priced, smaller bed slinger industry on notice. Those of you in the market for an additional smaller bed 3D printer or looking for your first 3D printer, I encourage you to take a close look at the Ender 3 version 3 SE, as it does appear to be a phenomenal 3D printer at a very aggressive and acceptable price point. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you there. Hey.